Hi, Elliot.
Hello, Ron.
Dr. Hay.
Hi, Ron. Hi, Elliot.
Hi, Dr. Ray.
Oh, everyone's here.
Hi,
The whole three of us.
Yeah.
Made it.
your big group today.
No.
Thank you all for being here so we could have our meeting.
Aaron, I did have one quick question just regarding the two items that are getting tabled. Do we need to make a motion to table that or just make note that they requested to be tabled till the next meeting?
I would recommend actually making a motion,
Okay,
especially for the cinema, which is in a, the public hearing has already been opened.
okay. Oh, it has been opened already on that?
Yes, it was opened and continued.
Okay.
So is it
And
being
then it wouldn't
tabled
be
tonight?
tabled, then it would just be continued again.
It's going to be open. Yep, it's just going to be continued to the July 7th.
Any others being continued?
Yes,
The lot line one.
Wildcat will be tabled also. Is it 7? I was going to say I can.
Yep.
Just about.
Okay. Oh yeah, I can unpause it if you're ready.
Dr.
Sure.
Hay, are you ready to read the introductory 5-minute information piece?
Were you asking me that question? I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Either of you, I'm not.
I'm not. I mean, I have something
Wing it.
prepared, but we already read the, basically how the public hearing proceeds and, when we opened the public hearing last time, so I would
Yeah.
assume we don't need to rehash that again.
No, that's fine. You can just,
Okay.
yep, just call the meeting to order.
Okay, I mean, I will, give a quick overview as to, the public hearing and the question and, for and against and all that real quick, but. All right, so we're ready to go at this point?
Well,
Yes.
hold on, I'm not. I just saw Aaron send an email an hour ago. It would be helpful to get him a little earlier.
There were, yep,
A work in
every one of
progress.
these applications, Ron, had moving parts all day long. So unfortunately, it was off to the last.
Aaron, can I ask a quick kind of point of procedure? So we often vote on the minutes. I wasn't at the last meeting. So, I can abstain, but I don't know if two people can pass the minutes, or does it just have to be majority of this?
It's the majority of who's
Okay.
present. It's okay to
That's okay.
table them also if you
Okay.
prefer. That's fine.
I say, we could always just put them off till next meeting also,
Sure.
correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no problem in that.
All right.
All right, so at this point, I'll call to order the June 16th Madison Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. My name is Elliot Hitchcock. I will be the acting chair this evening with the absence of our chair, Carol Snow. We currently have 2 public hearings on the agenda this evening. The first item on the agenda is 22-06, 45 Wall Street, map 38, lot 61 in the D district. The owner applicant is Gulick Properties LLC. It's a site plan review and special exception modification request per section 6.2.2.20 to construct 5 dwelling units. Section 6.2.3E to increase the maximum building coverage to 28.4%. In section 6.2.3H, increase maximum building height to 31 feet. Before we do get started with opening that public or reopening that public hearing, Dr. Hay, you were not present at our June 2nd meeting. Have you had a chance to read the minutes or watch the video to familiarize yourself with this application and feel comfortable participating tonight?
Yes, I have read the minutes and I'm comfortable participating tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So at this point, I will entertain a motion to reopen the public hearing.
I so move.
I
Ron,
will second.
seconded by Dr. Hay. All in favor? Do we have to do all in favor on that or? Well, might as well. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
And I guess somebody from the applicant will,
Greg's coming over also,
okay.
the engineer.
And just for the record, the applicant is aware that there is only 3 members present tonight and would still like to proceed.
Yes, my understanding is we have 5 members. There's 3 members present, which is a quorum, and
Yep.
as everyone's qualified to vote, we're ready to proceed. Yes,
All right, perfect. Just want to make sure. Thank you.
thank you. I guess I can start if it's okay with you all. My name is Chris McKeon. I'm an attorney representing Gulick Properties. I'm a resident of Madison, but my office address is 900 Chapel Street, New Haven, Connecticut. When we were before you a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Fettis was unavailable, and we had indicated we would come back to you to have Mr. Fettis go through in more detail the utilities, the drainage, the septic, with respect to this development. And just to briefly re-summarize, what we're looking for is a modification of a special permit we were issued back in 2018 for a 9-unit residential dwelling project, which had sought greater height to the building and greater building coverage than what we're proposing with this new modified project. The new modified project will have only 5 units. We are seeking a special exception for a height increase to 31 feet where 30 is permitted, but by special exception, you can get up to 36. You can get up to 40. Our prior application, we were granted relief to go up to 36 feet in height. This application is seeking to go to 31 feet in height. And we are also seeking a special exception to have building coverage of 28.4%, whereas in the prior application, we were granted relief to go to 29.4%. So in terms of density, building height, and building coverage, which together with the use being residential dwellings, those are the 3 reasons we need a special exception. In every respect that we were previously granted the special exceptions, we are seeking less relief with this modified proposal. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Greg Fettis, our site engineer, to go through in more detail the infrastructure on the site as it pertains to drainage and septic and utilities. So with that, Greg, can you take it away?
Sure. Good evening. My name is Greg Fettis with Fettis Engineering, an office at 70 Essex Street in Mystic, Connecticut, professional engineer licensed in the state of Connecticut. As Attorney McKeon stated, the site civil site engineer for 45 Wall Street. And I think I apologize for missing last meeting. Finally, COVID caught up with me. So, but back in the office and 95%, I guess. Anyway, if I can share, maybe I can share my screen, Aaron, and then
Yes, sure.
I'm just going to go over the stuff that I think is still everyone's interested in. And if I miss anything, please just, if you have any questions, we can kind of go through that. So I'm going to start with the drainage, which is detailed on sheet 2 of 6, which is the sheet before you. Just to kind of give a general overview, I'm going to blow this up just a little bit. So what's happening now is we're paving Brookside Road. All of that drainage from the road pavement is working its way to the south along the gutter line of Brookside for the entire length, which is pretty close, or basically the property line of the 45 Wall Street and Brookside Road. So what that allowed us, so it's kind of a super elevated, I guess, instead of a kind of a typical crown where half the water goes to one side and half goes to the other side. All the water from the road will come to the southern side of Brookside and run along the gutter line, which is parking for a portion of it. It's curbed, and then a couple of three driveways into the proposed multi-family development. And then when it reaches kind of I guess it'd be the western extent of northwestern extent of the property, there's a hydrodynamic separator there that'll treat all of the ground or all of the surface runoff from Brookside, as well as the runoff from the driveways for units 1 and 2, the driveway for unit 3, and the driveways for units 4 and 5, and then the majority of the parking. There is a high spot located, I don't know if you guys can see my cursor, located kind of across from this island here. So a little bit of the water will be going towards Wall Street, but the majority will be heading west to be treated in this hydrodynamic separator. So the water will enter that separator, go through that. They'll separate out the solids and some floatables, and then treated water will enter this underground infiltration system to slow down the flows, store a little bit. We're getting a little bit of infiltration into the ground. That'll overflow basically across the property to another infiltration system, and that'll overflow to a level spreader, which is located along the western property line. So all of that underground infiltration is required to the majority of it is the road and the driveways and the parking, where the increase is coming from. So that gets us down to, for the storms 2 through 100, it gets us down to less rate of flow for each of the storms, as well as less volume for each of the storms. The balance of the drainage will be going back out to Wall Street. So there's 3 rooftop, the drainage from the 3 units here, as well as the existing building, are going to be piped, and that was one of the town engineer's requests, is that we add all the piping for that. So we did show the roof leaders running along here, running around the septic system with tight pipe and tying into the roof leaders for the existing building, and then going into this underground infiltration system located adjacent to Wall Street. And again, that'll allow the water to slow down enough to where the flows, the post-development flows, will be less than the pre-development flows to Wall Street. We are also adding a catch basin kind of in line with the existing drainage system here. There's an existing ponding or puddling problem in this area. I think probably when they redid Wall Street, somehow it just was paved or constructed too flat. But what this will do is eliminate that puddle, as well as we have the ability to regrade our driveway a little bit in order to ensure that there's no more puddling in that area. So that's the drainage system. There was kind of some last minute, as Aaron stated, there was some kind of last minute changes. The infiltration, some of the infiltration was located between the building and the property line, and we just had gotten some information about an existing septic system, so we had to kind of push those to meet some requirements for the health department. And so they got kind of pushed 50 feet from the existing leaching on the adjacent property in both instances. So this infiltration moved across the street, and this moved from between the building and the property line to the backside of units 1 and 2. We also showed all the water taps for the 5 units. So those will be located here, avoiding the septic system. Joseph had one outstanding comment, which was a 10-foot separation between this tank and the water services. I think we have it, but we'll make sure that we do as a technical item or a condition that we do satisfy that for Trent. Additionally, we have gas services coming in. The 5 services will be located on the backside of the building here. It'll service the 5 units. We also added a transformer coming off a relocated telephone pole. So some underground will go from there to the transformer, and then the transformer to the back of all 5 units for each individual service. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that needs to be reiterated. I think town engineer was all set. He just had asked for the roof leaders on how we're going to get them from these 3 units to the front, and we did show that on there. And also, because of these tweaks with the underground infiltration, they actually are either the same size or a little bit larger. So we'll, as a technical item, or again, as a condition, we'd like to submit for the town engineer's approval a revised stormwater calc, just to confirm that the plans match the stormwater counts. But again, I think that's pretty much it for all the utilities. So we added some details that Aaron requested, and some that John requested. Again, those are more technical construction items. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. If there's anything I missed, I'm happy to go over that.
Craig, I'm sorry, just to clarify, you said that this revision to the infiltrators is larger. It has more capacity than the
Has more, yeah, it has a little bit more capacity. And again, I'm not always sure exactly why the computer program wants it a little bit bigger, but some slopes changed and certain things changed. So we sized it accordingly, and it does. Sometimes it's tricky to meet also the two-year storm and the 100-year storm. Sometimes you can meet the 150, and then all of a sudden the 2-year storm is bigger. And it's all about how you configure orifices and overflows and so forth. So.
Thank you.
Did you want to touch upon just the septic? I don't know. I know we Travis the meeting briefly touched on it, but
yeah. So there's a new system for the existing building, which is quite small. That's located right here. Actually, I'm going to switch to the next sheet because that has the actual septic stuff on it. Pretty much they're on both sheets, but I'll just go over it on this sheet. So the existing building, which doesn't have a high capacity, but that's located here. The existing building does not need a reserve area. So we did not show one for that. And then working with Trent, there's 5 units that originally had in one system, but he kind of preferred 2 systems, which it ended up working better. So it's just a little bit more spread out. But there's a tank located here, I believe, for the 3 units here, and then a little bit smaller system for the upper 2 units. These lower 3 units are just a little bit lower in the ground. And And we went out and redid some testing and so forth, and I think we were down to 11 feet with no signs of mottling or groundwater. So we were able to lower the systems a little bit to kind of make all the driveways work really well. But basically there's 3 systems on site. They are kind of state-of-the-art systems that have been proven over the last 10 years that I've been working with them to be extremely efficient. And they'll kind of work forever as long as you keep them dry. And in this case, we have such great soils that I don't see any concerns with any of the systems. But we do also have a reserves area here, which is for the new building.
Greg,
And
I
we
did
have
have one
also-
question regarding the reserve area. Why is it the existing building does not need a reserve area? What if there is
It's
a
just
failure there?
So the health code does not require, it's kind of it's a little bit of a gray area. Existing properties that have existing buildings on them do not, when you redo the septic, you do not need to provide a reserve area. The gray area, meaning that some might argue that the new building doesn't need a reserve area either, but we had room, we put it on there. It's not worth the argument. But existing buildings, like any building in town, if you have, some of the older, like all the beach houses that get redone, you never see a reserve area because they're not required by code. Basically, the health code doesn't require reserve areas.
Okay, I was just asking, I'm doing a project
Yeah.
in another town where they're actually making me do a septic perk test to prove there's a reserve area on a existing property.
Yeah, so that might be, it's a little bit different of a story, but B100A
Okay.
requires it.
Gotcha. Okay, just curiosity.
Yeah, just again, once and if this is approved and we actually install the septic systems and we get a permit to discharge, that reserve area is it's no longer required.
Okay.
So it's an oddball requirement of the health code, and there's been a lot of conversation about eliminating it altogether. So
I trust Trent on that.
Greg, I have a quick question about the gutter. So this is just a gutter. It's just a dip in the road. Presumably it's not a sewer that you're putting in along the.
the gutter
outside.
line along Brookside.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's where the road is pitched and the driveways are pitched creates like a V.
Mm-hmm.
Typical, you'll see it on most roads and most where there's a curb, there's basically a gutter line. It's where the water will run to and then run down towards to the catch basin here.
Okay, that's what I just wanted to clarify. It wasn't an actual sewer you were putting in. I guess it's not that much more water running off of a whole road as opposed to half a road. I was just wondering what the, sort of if that there's protection to prevent the bottom floor of the houses from flooding in a big storm. I don't know how much the driveways are pitched. I was just wondering about that.
They're pitched pretty good. You could calculate it here, but it's probably 2% away from the garages towards the gutter line. And, this Brookside Road continues as you go down. By the time you get to the end of where the 2 driveways are, which is going to be a graveled area, that's another couple feet lower. So it's really gonna
Flow that way. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not gonna see water running down the road and then up the driveways, if that's the concern.
Yeah. I was thinking about that.
Yeah, it all gets past all the driveways and continues to work its way to the west towards the wetland located here.
So that was actually my next question, and maybe I missed it, but I wasn't sure if we needed a wetlands, if they needed to comment on this, because there was some question in one of the documents about what paving Brookside Road would mean for the wetlands. Erin, we didn't get a comment from the Wetlands Commission, did we?
No, so you'll see, and Greg, maybe you can identify where that 100-foot line is. The wetland markers have been identified, the wetland flags down at the water course on the west side, the end of Brookside Road. And Greg did delineate the 100-foot upland review area, which is why you can see where the pavement has stopped. So at this portion, and I think Chris can kind of talk about the agreement with the neighbors, but this particular activity is outside the upland review and would not necessitate an inland wetland permit. Should the road continue further or any activities extend within that 100-foot upland review, then they would be subject to review and potential regulated activities with the Wetlands Commission.
Okay, thank you.
And I can speak further to that. We have had very good interaction with the neighbors on the north side of Brookside Road, as well as the home at the end on the south side. Attorney Bilczek has sort of spearheaded and been the representative of all of them collectively. We had an agreement in place with them as a result of the initial approval back in 2018, but now the project is changing, and the issue of the wetlands review line, the 100-foot buffer, is something that we modified this plan to include certain items at the request of the neighbors. The one being the curbing on the north end of Brookside Road, which is about halfway down. One item that I don't know that is shown on the site plan, but I know that Travis has agreed to do, is the area of pavement adjoining the first property owner, which I believe is the natural food store. The edge of that pavement will contain the same sort of, I'm not sure of the right term, but it's a concrete sort of stop that would prevent the deterioration of the pavement there because there's no curbing. It's the same concrete stop that is shown at the very end of the paving that we have right now. And I know the applicant has agreed to do that for that particular neighbor. I wanted to put that on the record. Hopefully the neighbors are participating tonight. As I said, it's been a number of years working with them, and I think at the end of the day, we're getting something here that is going to be to the benefit of everybody on Brookside. I will also say, as I said at the last meeting, and I know you weren't there, Dr. Hay, at the prior meeting, but we do intend to make a wetlands application to seek to extend the paving or something, depending on what the wetlands folks think, so that the last two owners on the street can get to their driveways. It is really not that big of an area. We have the drainage infrastructure in the street now, but of course it is a regulatory requirement to go and show to them that paving a little bit further isn't going to bring compromised water or increased water toward the wetlands that are there. And I did state on the record the last meeting, and we'll state it again, that we fully intend to do that and seek the ability, hopefully, to provide a better access to those last two driveways once we get an approval from wetlands.
Any other questions from the commission?
All right, it doesn't sound like we have any other questions. At this point, should we open it up for questions from the public?
Sure. Greg, I guess we, in order
me
to
to st-
see our public, I need you to stop sharing screen. Thanks. And we'll see if anybody has their hands raised here. Has gone. I have one hand raised, but I believe that is our participant for our next item. So
Is there a possibility they have a question regarding this one?
I'll just ask. I think it's a developer, Bob Murphy, but I'll just double check here and lower his hand. And there you go. Bob, I think you're logged in as Diane. Do you have any comments for this application? If you do, unmute yourself.
Okay, what was that again?
Oh, Bob, okay. I thought I saw your hand raised, Bob, so I wanted to make sure that you didn't have a comment on this Wall Street application.
Oh, no.
Okay, excellent. So we'll get to your item just after this one.
Okay,
All right, thanks. Okay, so I have no one else then with their hands raised.
So I guess
Comment.
at this point, I guess we would go to see if anybody would like to speak in favor.
No one.
Anybody like to speak against?
No.
So if there's no additional questions from the commission, at this point, we would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll move to close the public hearing.
Dr. Hay, second.
I second.
Ron, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none. So is there any comments from the commission at this point? I don't know, Ron, if you want to go first?
No, I'm satisfied, and my answer, my question about height and coverage were answered the last time. I'm satisfied.
Okay. Dr. Hay?
Yeah, no, I agree. This seems like a really great project, and just mild modification from the last time. And it seems like there's been a lot of thought put into the drainage, which I think was my major concern. So no concerns with this.
All right. I basically feel the same way. I mean, it's a modification from a project that was already approved, and it's actually lessening the height and lessening the coverage. So I have no concerns or problems with it. So at this point, I guess I would, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think Aaron prepared a nice resolution for us as usual.
Well, if you want to,
Accessible, or do you need?
Yeah, I have it. I'm happy to read it if you would like me to.
if you'd like to make the motion, go ahead.
Okay. So, oh gosh. So I move to approve 22-06 45 Wall Street, map 38, lot 61D district, to construct 5 dwelling units, increase maximum building coverage to 28.4%, and increase maximum building height to 31 feet. The following draft resolution is offered. Voted that the Madison Planning and Zoning Commission approve application 22-06 45 Wall Street, map 38, lot 61, D district, owner applicant Gulick Properties LLC, site plan review and special exception modification request per section 6.2.2.2. I think that was the right number of twos, to construct 5 dwelling units, section 6.2.3E, increase maximum building coverage to 28.4%, and section 6.2.3H, increase maximum building height to 31 feet, as shown in application documents and on plan set site plan of Wall Street, Madison, Connecticut, prepared for Gulick Properties LLC, sheets 1 through 6, dated February 21st, 2022, revised to 6/16/2022 by Fettis Engineering LLC, scale 1 inch to 20 feet, architectural drawing 45 Wall Street, sheets A1 through A4 by Williams Architecture A1 or AIA, dated 2/22/22. Scale is noted with the following conditions: that the applicant submit documentation in the zoning enforcement officer to the zoning enforcement officer verifying legal authorization to install stormwater drainage structures within the property located at 100 Bradley Road. 2, zoning enforcement officer be notified at least 48 hours prior to any commencement of construction activities. 3, that all sedimentation and erosion controls be installed prior to any site disturbance and maintained for the duration of construction activities and until the site is sufficiently stabilized to the satisfaction of the zoning enforcement officer. 4, that the subsurface stormwater system shall be inspected by a Connecticut licensed professional engineer during construction to verify consistency with the approved plans. 5, as an as-built survey of the stormwater system components shall be submitted to the commission with written verification from a licensed engineer that the system was constructed in accordance with the approval design plans. This submittal shall be completed prior to the issuance of a final certificate of zoning compliance. 6, a condensed inspection and maintenance chart shall be prepared by the design engineer identifying the inspection, management, and maintenance frequency required for each component of the stormwater treatment system. This chart shall be submitted to the zoning enforcement officer for review prior to the issuance of a final certificate of zoning compliance. In the event that changes to the approved plans are required as a result of other agency permitting to support the proposed activity, the Madison Planning and Zoning Commission reserves the right to review said changes and may require modification of this approval. This approval is made based upon the finding that the proposed use is a permitted use in the district and that the standards, prerequisites, and conditions specified by the regulations have been met. The public convenience and welfare will be substantially served, and the appropriate use of neighboring properties will not be substantially or permanently injured. The proposed use is in accordance with the comprehensive plan. The effective date of this approval is July 1st, 2022, and upon filing of the certificate of special exception, a modification on the land records.
Thank you. We'll need a second.
I second.
Ron? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Congratulations.
Well done.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is for public hearing is 22-09 DVD 761 Boston Post Road, map 38, lot 96, DVD owner Davis Realty. Applicant is Harold L. Blank, Madison Art Cinema, major alteration to a downtown village district. Section 30 for digital sign. So at this point, we need to just make a motion to continue or actually
Yes.
open and then continue.
Yes, so the hearing has been opened and continued to this evening's meeting. In notifying the applicant that there would only be 3 commissioners available this evening, he was given the opportunity, if desired, to continue to the next meeting's date of July 7th, when the full commission would be available. And so Harold decided that that would be most appropriate. So he's requesting that you just continue to the July 7th, and he has granted that extension to the commission.
Then we just need to move to
Continue. Sure.
motion to continue.
Move to continue till July 7th, is that right?
July 7th, yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
That was Dr. Hay. Second,
Second,
Ron, all in favor?
uh,
Opposed, none.
I have an inquiry, Aaron. So
Yes.
we have a quorum.
Yes.
So let's say this was the last and final date. There could be no more extensions under the statute. Under what basis do we give them the right to either be with the three of us or the five of us later? I mean, if we have a quorum, do they have a right to ignore the statute and extend it 30 days? Or is this extension or continuance within the statutory time frame for them to act, for us to act?
It is within the statutory requirements to, or what's allowed, where the applicant can grant up to 65 days to any portion of
Okay.
this process. So he has not exhausted those 65 days
Yeah.
yet. So he's okay to grant an extension to the
But if
commission.
they had exhausted it, I don't see any legal basis for them to say, oh, we want 30 more days, because even though you have a quorum, there's only 3 people here.
Right. So in that case, you would have to proceed with going through the public hearing and closing it. However, the commission would then have 65 days that had not been exhausted yet. You don't necessarily have to act in the same evening. And Wall Street was an example of that, where this was the very last day to close the public hearing. So that was an option for the applicant to just move forward and then allow the other members to watch the recording of this evening's meeting and then have a full commission vote at the next regular meeting. So yes, but there's no provision in the statutes if you have a quorum to waive the statutes,
Yeah,
hoping for more members. No,
yeah.
it's only if you have that time available.
I did.
Yeah.
Someone watching this, the implication is, gee, if they don't like the number of people, we can just change the timing. But that you're confirming that's simply not correct.
Correct. No, it has to be within the time frame. But because there are only 3 of you, two votes would carry an action. So it gives them a little better odds if there were any question as to which direction the commission would be voting, if there were 2 more members present. So that's why we notified applicants ahead of time to let them know of our limited numbers.
And you're able to confirm that Carol and Giselle not hiding out in the public forum here watching us from their wedding dinner.
They're not in attendance as attendees, no.
Then we'll file a complaint.
I have one
Probably
follow-up.
having more fun than we are.
I have one follow-up question to Ron's question, and that is, if for some reason we ended up not having a quorum tonight, what
I
would have
asked our
happened with Wall
attorney
Street? It
that.
would have been an automatic approval, correct?
No, there would be, that could be the case for a site plan approval or a subdivision, but not a special exception.
Okay,
So if the meeting had been canceled, I think, had an appeal been taken, there could have been an argument that we would allow for due process to actually allow the commission to close the public hearing at your next regularly scheduled meeting.
all right.
But that could be a little questionable too. I
Right.
think that you get into case law to help make that claim.
Well, we don't have to worry about that anymore tonight.
Luckily, we didn't have to worry about that. So
Yeah.
thankfully, although if our numbers, I guess we have to keep on point for when people are going on vacation this summer, so we can plan accordingly.
All right, but our next 2 items are both not public hearings. These are just regular meeting
These are just
items.
regular items, 67 Boston Post Road, and just if, yes, so this is a request for an extension of a site plan.
Did we have to close the public hearing? I don't think we did we? Did we close the
Just
public?
continued. You continued.
Oh, okay.
For Boston Post Road to the, for 761 to the next meeting. So at this point, it would be to allow the developer an opportunity. The developer is here, as we had just spoken to him briefly, and as well as representative from his engineering firm, I believe, to go over, again, this is the third time, I think, that but finally we have all parties in one location here to address the commission and let them know what progress you've made or they've made since our last meeting.
One internet location.
Yes, yes, we had, that's right. We had an in-person while we were virtual. So it was almost a comedy of errors here. So I'm going to allow Bob Murphy, and I think Chuck Mandel is here as well. And they can speak to.
Do I need to read the application information?
If you'd like, sure.
All right. So this is a application 09-05D and 09-06D, plus a coastal site plan review, 14-0867 Boston Post Road, map 44, lot 19, East River Farms, a request for an extension for a 20-unit HOD multifamily residential development and related site improvements.
Yeah, wow.
Okay.
Yeah,
Chuck,
hi.
your picture looks a lot different.
Well, I'm actually in Sacramento. I'm visiting the grandkids. So, so that my son set me up with a Zoom. Thanks.
I'm just teasing.
No, that's okay. I was just in shock that I hadn't even used this computer before. Good evening. As Aaron said, third time's a charm here, I hope, tonight. Bob Murphy's on also. And Bob or Diane, could you, if you unmute yourself, you'll be able to talk if the commission has any questions for you. Give him a minute. And Aaron, I think you have a plan that's dated 6/7/22. It's a most recent one, recent as-built.
Yes, I can share that.
Yeah, this way I can.
You want to walk through that, Chuck?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, hold on here.
Yeah, while we're waiting for that to go up. So what we did was we went and we as-builted the drainage that's existing. Couple of infiltrators on a couple of buildings, and there will be some roof leader tie-ins also to capture the roof water.
So just kind of zooming out, giving you the whole property here first, Chuck, and then we can.
Right, yeah. So all these buildings are currently constructed. All the foundations are in. The most northern building, Unit 6, is currently under construction right now. And if you zoom into the north of that detention basin, Aaron, the original design, what we did was, since the builder didn't incorporate all the infiltration systems that were on the original proposed plan, we went and resized this basin. So we added an extra 806 square feet to accommodate the extra stormwater that will be generated that was not captured by the individual subsurface units per the buildings. So that right now you can see those dashed lines with the little squares. Those are the catch basins and the piping. So right now, most of those roof leaders are going to be directed into the catch basins along the road. And if there was anything specific, I guess you had some questions for Bob also. Diane, did you unmute yourself yet? Hold on. I was able to call them earlier. Let me see.
I got it.
There you go. Okay.
All right.
Perfect. So this is Bob Murphy. So if the commission has any specific questions, feel free.
So if the commission doesn't have a question, I have, so this is just kind of a preliminary as-built. From what I understand, Chuck, you still need to do inverts and
Correct. Yeah, it's still a work,
else.
right. It's still a work in progress. We're also we want to pick up all the landscaping also. So we have most of the electric utilities. You can see the gas line, the water lines are in, but we still need the inverts. And when he finishes the tying in with the drainage, we're going to show those connections also into the
Okay,
storm.
now, are those changes to the original plan? Some of this drainage is?
Yeah, so well, some of the water, actually, it's a change due to the fact that some of the infiltration was not put in. So let's see, so 2 and 3, buildings 2 and 3, they do have stormwater systems in place. As you can see those on the east side of both buildings. 4 and 5, the catch basins are gonna be we're gonna put the remaining water into the catch basins. He's gonna change the gutter system on there and get all the water in there. And then, building 6, all the water is gonna be going into the catch basin.
How about building 1?
And building
I was
1,
supposed to have an infiltrator here.
right, we're gonna send that to the basin also. We're gonna create that in the stormwater.
So you're gonna, my hope is that you're going to complete the as-built and then show what you're proposing to modify from the
Well,
original
actually,
plan?
yeah, so actually Bob is in the process of putting gutters in right now. If we were to put in the original stormwater system as proposed, we would be destroying a lot of landscaping. It would do a lot of damage to the existing homes that are the landscaping and lawn that's there now. So we are trying to get away from doing more damage to the lawns, and that's why we accommodated the stormwater in resizing the basin to the north. So that will accommodate the water.
And so my question, I think, is also this resizing. Your original drainage plan showed a series of infiltrators along this western property line. Is that the area that you're referring to, that you're trying to preserve some of that screening? I know you've got some arborvitae that that Bob
Yes,
had planted.
exactly right. That's fairly densely landscaped with some nice arborvitaes right now, and there is a swale that will capture water. And if you remember from the original site plan, that whole western side had garages. So right now that's all just lawn. So the garages were eliminated. That's why the stormwater system looks like it didn't increase in size that much, because we did eliminate all the impervious surfaces from the garage.
So if the garages, so that was not a formal modification with the commission to remove the garages, and I think at this point it would be as some changes to the original plan have been made. Some of them are minor field changes, but it may be beneficial to the commission to have you return for a site plan modification
And
to
show what was
address those
eliminated.
changes. And, you know, provide the calculations that the expanded rain garden will make up for the eliminated infiltrators, so that we know that we're at a net, at least for stormwater.
Yeah, well, the
Because of the
calculations.
tidal wetlands back.
Yeah, so the calculations are on the plan. If you look to the right of the notes, we have the water quality volume and the rain garden sizing calculations are on there to account for the impervious.
So that, yep, so that we'll just want to see that compared to the existing. Or
Okay,
what was
yep, oh,
approved.
yeah, right, yes, exactly. We can show both on the map. The
So that-
existing, yes, the proposed is on there now, and we'll show the original proposed also.
Okay, so.
And we can show the net loss or net gain, what the garages actually did for that.
I think having the as-built, that was one of, and I'm happy to stop sharing if that's easier for us.
Yeah,
to
no, that's fine.
discuss at this point with the commission, but I think having, one of staff's concern was that we didn't have a picture of has been done so far. So we were missing this as-built component to kind of see where we are in the project, what had been done with respect to drainage, all the site improvements, and landscaping. So having Mr. Murphy contract his surveyor again to go out and get this information for us, now we can start establishing whether or not a modification needs to come back before you. So I think getting more of this picture is helpful, Chuck. And my thought is that it probably is significant enough to be a commission level modification as opposed to an administrative. You know, shifting some utilities, minor field changes are okay. I think it's administrative approval, but the elimination of the garages and things of that nature should probably come back to the full commission for review and approval.
No problem.
If the commission is in agreement with my
I
thoughts
think
on
I would be in agreement with that.
Yeah, me too. I would like to get an actual presentation on this and the changes. I think that would be really nice to hear.
Okay.
Okay, so Chuck, that can be done once you've got your as-built completed.
Yeah, we're pretty close to completion, except for the landscaping element, which will be done fairly soon. I would say within the next month. Most
That's
of the
good.
And Bob can chime in any time, you know, if he is any, you know, contrary to that.
Sure, knowing what the landscape changes were, as we indicated, this is one parcel. So it is, and it did have an approved landscape plan. So changes that may have come along, whether it's by individual homeowners or, you know, at the request of the homeowners to the developer, those are things that should be looked at as a whole, since the commission did already approve that landscape plan. So and also it gives an opportunity to see where some of those modifications were made and whether or not they impact any of the infrastructure on the project, such as septic systems, things of that nature. So that would be good to have the landscaping as well.
Yep.
And Bob, I think I'm trying to think of what my other items here on our checklist were. Let me just pull that up so I can kind of, lighting would also be another, Chuck, to add on your as-built. It was drainage, landscaping, and lighting. ENS controls were a concern when we went out during site inspection. I believe LaFata and Son had reinstalled those ENS controls. And I think that Chuck, your office has also staked the property line.
Yes, we went out and we
side.
did take the eastern property line.
We had noticed some of the residents had cleared beyond the property lines onto the adjacent property. So that was something that was requested. And then there are outstanding DOT improvements along at Boston Post Road.
Yes, I believe, yeah, that the approval is in place. I believe Anthony has his bond posted for that, and I think he has that work scheduled to go ahead and do the DOT work.
So that's good.
Yeah.
So that's still outstanding. And then as well, you know, the final bituminous coat cannot be of the common driveways can't be completed until all of the utilities are completed. And so that's something that is outstanding. And I think that's basically it for the physical improvements to the site. And so as I kind of talked about at our last two meetings, it would be staff's recommendation that these site improvements be completed prior to the issuance of any new final certificates of zoning compliance. That's basically the final zoning sign off before a CO can be issued for a unit. So this helps give the developer, Mr. Murphy, some a deadline to get some of this work done. And in lieu of completing, whatever does not get completed prior to this CO process, then the developer, it would be staff's recommendation to have the developer post bond, financial guarantees, cash surety, a cash bond for the value of the outstanding common improvements there.
Yeah, that was one of the questions I was going to ask Aaron was and Bob, you could certainly weigh in. I don't know if he has a closing coming up soon or where I don't believe these improvements can be done. And Bob, is that correct? You have a closing coming up?
Well, we don't have a date yet because of all the delays going on.
Okay, so you think we can get this done prior to your CO, prior to the closing?
I'm hoping.
Okay.
From our meeting, in discussing with both Bob and his partner, Phil Altieri, which I don't believe Phil is here. And if he is, please raise your hand and I'm happy to bring you over, Phil. I thought it was their intention to try and finalize all of the drainage and landscaping and hopefully have only the final coat of bituminous to bond for. But it is what it is. When a date is decided for the closing, however far they have gotten, it would be, I think, in the towns and the residents' best interest to at least have that financial surety so that in the event that these improvements are not done, the commission can call the bond and have the improvements completed for phase one for the residents who are there. As you know, we have a vested interest in this development as well because this is an affordable housing development. Along those lines, the affordability was one of the items on the checklist was to identify, as indicated in the affordability plan for this development. NeighborWorks New Haven was identified as the administrator who would manage the sale and management of all of the affordable units. In speaking with Mr. Altieri, he did indicate that Mark Nolan is the administrator of the affordability plan, and he is currently working on providing the status report that's identified in the plan to the commission. So that information I would also recommend putting as a condition that prior to the issuance of the next certificate of zoning compliance, final certificate of zoning compliance, that this summary status report be submitted to the commission. So I think that's basically it. Unless
I have one question regarding the upcoming closing. Is that the final unit or
no,
is there additional units to still?
there's one market rate unit left in phase one, and there's one affordable. So the last unit would be the affordable unit.
So the closing is for the market value one, and then
Yes.
there'd be one remaining
affordable unit.
affordable
Yes,
before the phase one is complete.
correct.
Okay.
Bob, did you have any questions regarding how we're looking to move forward here?
No, not really.
Okay.
I understand everything.
Okay, good. So I did, unless the commission has any questions, I did provide you with a draft amendment, a draft resolution for the extension. I would just recommend, as we were talking it through, that condition number one also include the submission of the affordability status report by the administrator prior to the issuance of a zoning compliance.
And just to be clear, from our last meeting, this is the 1-year extension is actually required by state statute or a state?
Correct. This is not a discretionary extension. because the statutes have changed as of last July, the application shall be valid, or the project shall be valid for a total of 14 years, which would bring this project to the June 18th, 2023 date. Beyond that, it is discretionary for the commission, should you wish to grant further extensions. That up to a total of 5 years, for a grand total of 19 years for a project to be valid.
I would hope with the one unit closing and one left, that, you know, we won't be in this situation again in 12 months from now looking for, you know, an additional extension.
Hopefully not for phase one, possibly yes, to continue phase two. Or to begin phase two, I should say.
In the event that an extension is not granted for phase two, then it would be basically starting over from square one
They'd have to
for phase
reapply.
two.
You'd have to reapply, yeah.
Do any commission members have any further questions for the applicant?
No.
So at this point, we would entertain a motion.
I'm happy to read the motion that Aaron had sent us. I'm sorry, what was that extra language you were
I think
suggesting?
it was the existence of the affordability report by the administrator.
Do you want to move then? Since you remember it, Ron, do you have the resolution to read?
Yeah, I could if you wanted.
Go ahead.
So a motion that the commission vote in favor and approve the request for an extension for the site plan approval 09-05 capital D and 09-06 capital D plus CPS semicolon 14-08 67 Boston Post Road, map 44, lot 19, East River Farms, to June 18, 2023, with the following conditions: that all necessary site improvements be completed prior to the issuance of any further certificates of zoning compliance, and the existence and availability of the affordability report by the administrator. Should the applicant seek a certificate of zoning compliance prior to completion of said work, the commission will consider submission of financial surety by the applicant to guarantee the installation of outstanding improvements. Number two, any further extensions will require return to the commission for approval. The effective date of this approval shall be July 1, 2022.
We'll need a second.
I will second that.
Mr. Hay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. So it is
And
approved.
Aaron, this was clear enough that this applied to phase one, right? You said there is a phase two.
There is a phase two. No site disturbance has occurred in
Okay.
phase two of this project. So there is no work started on that side. This solely relates to phase one. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Chuck. Thank
Okay.
you, Bob.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you.
Okay, and then the last item on our agenda is 22-15, 181, 187 Wildcat Road, 193 Horse Pond Road, map 67, lots 44, 45, 49, RU2 district. The owner is ACAK, Francis Underhill, Catherine Dolph, and the applicant is Nicholas Mingione Esquire. Application for a lot line revision, and Aaron, they requested to table.
Yes, Attorney Mingione did contact me and requested that this matter be tabled to the July 21st meeting date. as his applicant has some work to do to address some of staff's concerns. And he indicated that they will likely be amending or submitting a new application in the future. So we will keep you apprised of any updates we receive on that.
So if you're submitting a new application, does that start the clock over?
It would. So he could either, grant an extension and amend his application. Briefly, there were concerns about the irregular shape of the lot. And namely for this evening, that if he was requesting a waiver of that section of the subdivision regulations, it would require a 3/4 vote of all members of the commission, which would be 4, which are not available this evening. So, and I think I think they may be looking to address the shape of that lot. Is my.
So that's 3/4 of seated members, not
It says
available
all
members.
It says all
Okay.
members in the regulations. It's interesting.
Okay,
We had to read that a few times.
So
so,
Aaron, I looked at that application and it's not very forthcoming. It's just checking some boxes, signing their signatures, and then giving a map that's indecipherable. What are they really trying to do? I don't understand.
Well, I mean, we could, we'll get into this a little bit when they present, but it's a lot line revision. It's the same number of lots. One lot was created in the 1960s and the others at a later date as 2 separate subdivisions. My understanding is that there's a property owner of the one lot who is looking to purchase a portion of the adjacent property. My understanding is to preserve that from being developed at a future date. However, the lot is designed to look like a new building lot. So that's where staff raised the questions of why it needs a 25-foot access way, why is it irregularly shaped like this? And then in the future, if there was a request for an application for re-subdivision, the lot that was created in the 60s is actually becoming more conforming now. It's legally non-conforming for lot area. So as it's getting more lot area now with a lot line revision, it's becoming more conforming. And in the future, if they came for a subdivision, that existing lot, if they carved it off again, where there's this little 15-foot connection piece, you'd be creating a non-conforming lot. So I'm not sure, we didn't have a lot of, we didn't have any meetings really with the applicant or their surveyor prior to submission. So I don't know what the long-term goals are, whether they're trying to design that lot line revision in the future for future subdivision. And actually, Chuck Mandel is here, and I don't really want to, and I see you, Chuck, with your hand raised, and I just, without Nick here, I think we should probably continue our discussions a little, for the full meeting, because like I said, the only correspondence I had from Attorney Mingione is, okay, we've received staff comments and we're going to be looking at revisions. So.
Yeah, but I guess my impression was, is there something about a lot line change that allows an applicant to submit something that is indecipherable? There's no narrative that explains what the intent is and what they're doing. So we as members will just hit it cold at the meeting. Maybe the application is sufficient. I mean, look at it. There's nothing there.
Our applications do need some work, Ron. That's on my list, is to revise our actual
Okay, all right.
forms. I agree with you. We have way too many application forms. We could simplify and streamline what specifically we're looking for so that it is easier to get the information you need while not having to weed through unnecessary information. But yeah, I mean, a lot line revision, sometimes there's not a lot of narrative. It's just showing existing and proposed. And you kind of have to decipher that. And there is a section on that map. If you look again, there's a reduced little block. And it shows the existing configuration of the 3 lots and the proposed. So that kind of gives you
very hard to
visual
read.
picture of what they were and what they're coming, looking to turn to. But yeah, so we'll stay tuned. I did let Nick know that if they want to meet on a staff level and kind of go through options, both John DeLora and myself are happy to do that.
Okay.
And they have 4 weeks to
Mainly
get their act together.
Yeah, and again, he mainly also wanted to have a full commission available too. That was his first thought, and then he received some staff comments and confirmed his request to push it down the road a little bit. So.
And the map they present that night could be a lot clearer on our computers also.
And they'll be here to
Yeah.
explain it, sure, and their surveyor, so again, yeah, I'm sure Chuck will join us again for that one too with Nick and the homeowner. So that one, I think we just a motion. I don't know if we did a lot of talking. Did we actually motion to get that to the 21st? I don't know.
Do we need to make a motion to table it till the 21st, or is it just upon their request if they're submitting a new
Yeah,
application?
you can note that, and we'll keep it on the agenda for the 21st. That's fine.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from the June 2nd, 2022. I think I'm going to push that off to approve on the next meeting, seeing 2 of the 4 members who were present are not present, and to give them an opportunity to read and verify that everything on there is correct. So I'll do the approval of the minutes at our next meeting.
Yeah, that's reasonable, for sure.
And then after that, the remarks from the commission chair, saying I'm only acting chair. I have nothing to comment on, and I'll turn it over to the town planner to see if she has any comments or remarks.
No, not much. Next week is the closing date for the 17th. Is it this? Oh, maybe it's actually tomorrow. I apologize.
Tomorrow's the 17th. Yeah.
No, I think it's the 24th. I was going to update you when our POCD deadline is for submissions for the RFQ, but I actually think it's next week. But we are getting some proposals in, so that's great, and we're hopefully be in the near future going through those and providing some options to the commission for hiring our consultant.
And then for the POCD, that will be a separate commission, or?
It's your commission's task. It's your responsibility to adopt or amend the
Right.
POCD every 10 years. Last go around, there was a working group. And that, because it's such a townwide planning document, there were representatives from various commissions, some citizens at large, things like that. I did keep language in the RFQ to allow for some type of group like that, a working group, to be able to get some feedback and hopefully help connect with our residents a little more. So we will, and we'll be talking about that. We were going to wait to have our consultant on board to help guide that process of getting that team together. But yeah, I think that's a good way to handle it. So it's not just on the 5 of your shoulders. And that's it. I didn't have any other comments.
Okay. And at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. I think I'll make that motion. I'll make that motion, and
I'll
look for a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye,
Thanks.
everyone. Nice to see you.
In July.
Okay.